Good evening. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let me make sure I have all this stuff together. Welcome to day 57 of the 12 steps applied to COVID-19. You are with Free to Hope from Recovery Emerge Empowered Recovery Conversation with Edwina B. That's me, y'all. The 12 steps were customized over 80 plus years ago by Alcoholics Anonymous, and by the grace of God, I have been a humble, grateful member for 30 plus years. If it's God's will that I live to February the 23rd of 2021, we will be celebrating 31 years in this awesome fellowship, this simple program offering 12 spiritual principles, 31 years, but one day at a time. So, as a result of the 12 steps that I've been practicing in all my affairs, I also had to apply them to being a survivor of COVID-19, along with 7 other members of my family from the age of 2 to the age of 78. Yes. And it covered the whole spectrum of my family and 4 different households. And so, as a result of applying these 12 spiritual principles now to COVID-19, as a survivor, I am sharing this information with you, my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, my lack of wisdom, my bad decisions, my bad choices. But because I'm applying these spiritual principles, I am now making good choices, good decisions based on the reduction and the eradication of COVID-19, so that I and possibly you can be in the prevention mode of COVID-19, the intervention mode of COVID-19, or the restoration mode of COVID-19. I am now being proactive regarding COVID-19. I am being reactive to COVID-19. I am no longer inactive regarding COVID-19, and I'm being responsible and respecting the outcomes of COVID-19, all as a result of applying these simple spiritual principles in all my affairs. So we need to first give homage to our Creator. I don't care if you call him higher power, God, the universe, the force, but guess what? Who breathed life into you this morning? Who breathed life into me this morning? Who woke us up this morning? It wasn't the alarm clock. It wasn't the trash truck. It wasn't the grandchildren. It wasn't family members. It was the Creator who chose you and me to wake up this morning, and he breathed life into this vessel. And we know that during this pandemic, that the whole universe, in terms of the globe of the earth and all the countries around the world, we are simultaneously at the same time, which is what that means, experiencing the devastating impact, effects, outcomes, and fatalities of COVID-19, and also the rise in other variants. They say that one person is dying every 30 seconds from this COVID-19. And that's why we need to give homage to our Creator, because he knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of this pandemic, because this is not, nor will it be the last pandemic that man has and will experience while on this earthly journey. And that's why with Donald Lawrence song says, it's called Spiritual. You are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being living and walking this natural experience. So, for that alone, I want to give homage to our Creator. I want to give homage to those who have transitioned from COVID-19. I want to pay homage to those who are left behind and have to deal with the if I coulda, woulda, shouldas of their loved ones, right? Regarding COVID-19, those who are doing a great job and helping to spread the word and also preventing themselves from contracting COVID-19. I want to pay homage to those who are suffering right now, this very moment, who can't breathe because of COVID-19. I want to pay homage to those who are subjecting their own lives and the lives of their family by taking care of others regarding COVID-19. I want to pay homage to those who are still in denial about COVID-19. I want to pay homage to those who don't believe that this COVID-19 exists. Yes, so in other words, we need to pay homage to our entire human race because we don't know what mode any of us are in, but we need to share our experience, our strength, our hope, and our wisdom with each other so that we can save one life, save one family member, save one culture, save one community, one city, one state, one country. And even though this pandemic is happening simultaneously around the world, if we simultaneously all embrace, learn, apply, and practice these 12 spiritual principles, we can stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. I'm willing and am doing my part now as a believer and as one who contributed to contracting COVID-19 and one who has survived COVID-19 for the sole purpose, I believe, of having this conversation with you. I don't know exactly who you are. It doesn't matter. My job, my obligation, my honor, my responsibility, my duty is to share with you from this horse's mouth what it's like to contract COVID-19, how I contributed to contracting COVID-19, and how 8 of us and our family survived COVID-19. So that you and your family members, your culture, your community, your city, your state, your country don't have to meet the same demise. Okay? So, Free to Hope stands for From Recovery, Emerge, Empowered. I survived alcoholism and drug addiction for 30 plus years, one day at a time, and I survived COVID-19, 57 days, one day at a time. And so free from recovery, I have emerged empowered to do what? To give hope to others, help others prosper equally. We are all on the same playing field regarding COVID-19. There are no big I's, there are no little U's. We are all in this together, and we all have to do our part to save each other's lives, okay? So with this information that we are conversating on and introducing to some, refreshing others regarding the importance and the wisdom that can be used and save lives if we embrace the 12 spiritual principles. So, in paying homage to the entire human race, I want to do what we do in our 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Sex Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. All of them use the same spiritual principles by giving 30 seconds for a moment of silence for the entire human race, no matter what category or mode you are in. We need to have this silence for everyone Join me for 30 seconds of silence. Thank you. Thank you. For those who can't say thank you, for those who are unable to say thank you, for those who do not want to say thank you, I want to say thank you on their behalf because I can empathize with having COVID-19. I can empathize with having some of the symptoms of COVID-19. I can empathize with losing close ones, to me, not in my family, by the grace of God, right? To COVID-19. I can empathize with intervening on the behalf of others regarding COVID-19. And so, what I would suggest that we all do is to create some type of platform that we can share what we're doing, what we're not doing, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Okay. I am wearing my mask now all the time, whereas before I took it for granted. I didn't put it on all the time. I was defiant. I was rebellious. I was stubborn. I was egotistical. Yes, I was prideful because you can't see my beautiful face if I wear this mask. But in recovery, we say, do you want to save your behind or do you want to save your face? And as a result of the 12-step program applying to addiction, and alcoholism, prostitution, and the whole 9 yards, attempting suicides, being raped, being set up, setting people up, all that ugliness that goes with an addiction. Guess what? If I was delivered from that from my higher power, then I need to make that same analogy, that same comparison with this COVID-19 and the simple suggestions. And so now I am wearing my mask. I will continue to wear my mask. I will continue to be an example and attraction to my family, particularly my grandchildren who I'm around most of the time. Right? And if we are out in public when necessary, they are staying in the car. I am going out with my mask on. If I meet you and you don't have a mask on, I will keep my distance from you, and I will offer you a mask because I carry them with me all the time. If you deny wanting a mask, no problem. I've learned to pray for you, but to also stay away. We have to acknowledge what we should be doing if we are to make a decrease to stop the perpetuation of COVID-19, starting with ourselves and applying these 12 spiritual principles to challenge our attitudes, ideas, behaviors, our present mindset, and to examine where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors and mindset was first formulated by whom, where, what situations. Embrace the 12 steps so it can create a spiritual transformation that will bring about a psychic change, as Dr. Carl Jung, Dr. Bob, and Bill W. realized that religion is not going to help. Medical field is limited, but divine providence, divine intervention, and the divine light, yes, can create that psychic change so that we can combat this COVID-19 from a spiritual angle and dealing with this physical condition. That's the only way it can happen, and it can happen simultaneously if we all do our part. I intend on including guests so that they can share their experience, strength, hope, and wisdom. I will include those who have lost loved ones, those who have suffered or suffering, those who are in rebellion against COVID-19. I want to hear from them too. Yes. Why? Why don't you want to wear a mask? Why don't you want to wash your hands? Why do you think this COVID-19 is a hoax? Yes, information is powerful, right? So I want to use this platform to get as many perspectives, mindsets, attitudes, ideas, and behavior, and to find out what we should do, what we shouldn't do, if it's going to save my life, the lives of my loved ones, and possibly your life. Okay? Now, Dr. James T. Allison is who I referenced in most of my podcasts, and it dated back to March the 31st of 2020 when I read his article in Psychology Today that says we can benefit from the wisdom of a 12-step program during this pandemic. And what he said was during the month of April of 2020. We are in a new year. We are in a new month. But in the 12-step program, we say we are in a new day, one day at a time. And those of us who are in recovery, we know that every day should be and can be a happy day, as long as we don't pick up a drink or a drug. And if we apply to COVID-19, as long as we do what's necessary, not to contract COVID-19, this can and will be a happy day. And so that's why I am energetic. That's why I am adamant about being an attraction of doing the next right thing and not doing my thing. Practicing God's will, not my will. Okay? Because in our recovery from the 12 steps, they say some of us must die in order for some of us to live. That means we need to learn from those who have transitioned from COVID-19. You better believe those family members who have lost loved ones to COVID-19, they have a different mindset. They have a different attitude. They have a different perspective. Hopefully they are doing something different so that they don't succumb to the same outcome of their loved ones. Those who see their loved ones suffering, and we want to talk about family gatherings up here, birthday parties, dinners, holidays. Guess what? I will contribute to the death of some of our loved ones because of the family thing. Well, if we are really serious about ourselves and our families, then we will take the suggestions that says, if in order for you to be around next year, I need to miss this dinner. I need to miss this outing. I need to not go to public places for fun. I need not do this. I need not do that. If it's going to cause the death of you, the death of my loved ones, or the death of other people, I do not want that on my conscience. And it's not necessary. So what is it going to take? I don't know. Just like in our disease of alcoholism, we tried many things and had different ways, and we wanted to do this and substitute that. Guess what? We have to apply that same mindset of attitudes, ideas, and behaviors that were destructive, right, to our lives, to our well-being. So if you're saying, if we apply these same 12 spiritual principles to COVID-19, I will look at things different. I will do things different. I will be selfless and worry about other people. And that's why Dr. James T. Allison said, from an Al-Anon perspective, right, using the same 12 spiritual principles, that we can benefit from the wisdom. Wisdom is acquired, and they say a smart person learns from his own mistakes, but a wise person learns from his mistakes and the mistakes of others. So do you, like many of us in a 12-step program, want to acquire wisdom? And we apply that serenity prayer to help us do that. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I need to accept through these 12 spiritual principles that one, I am powerless over COVID-19, that it has, is, and will continue to make my life unmanageable if we don't admit our powerlessness. If we don't, through recovery principle number 2, come to believe that a power or powers greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, restore us to soundness of mind regarding this COVID-19, then we will be a part of the problem still, instead a part of the solution. And once you see that I am doing my best not to contract COVID-19 based on that power or powers greater than me, then I can understand what step 3 says. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Your higher power, the fourth, yes, the creator. I don't care what you call him, but it's a power greater than you and a power greater than me. And he's using other powers to give us information, to give us examples, to give us tangible experiences. So why wouldn't I want to make that decision to continue to turn my will and my life over to the care of that power, capital P, or those powers that are designed to save my life and your life and the life of our loved ones from COVID-19. And the recovery principle we are on today is made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. And I will be sharing with you my experience, my examples, right, regarding doing recovery principle number 4. And so one of the other resources that I use to help me do that, right, is Jason Waller. Template, outline, synopsis, summary, overview of the 12 steps that are broken down and narratives. And he calculates and he used other resources and his experience, strength, and hope, and his wisdom to pose some questions to ignite some provoking thoughts to challenge our old attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, and existing ones, to see where and how they need to be changed. And what can and will change those is the 12 spiritual principles. If we use the 3 that are indispensable, or honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. That's the how of the spiritual program. H is for honesty, to their own self be true. Open-mindedness is the O. Stop being closed-minded. Stop wearing those blinders. Open up your mind, my mind, to what's available, what we can do. And once we see that there is a solution, are we willing to apply that information? So that's how it works. That's how it's been working for people in a 12-step program, one day at a time. We refuse to give anything or anybody that much power ever again to make us go back to drinking, to go back to that lifestyle. Hell to the no, we're not going back. No. And so whatever we got to do one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, then we will do it. Because we're honest with ourselves, we are open-minded to the information, and you better believe we are willing to do whatever is necessary not to go back. Well, I'm applying that same energy, that same analogy to COVID-19. I do not want to contract COVID-19 again. I do not want to be responsible for infecting my loved ones ever again, one day at a time. I don't want a subject affecting you and your family to COVID-19 one day at a time. So I will do everything and anything I can not to do that. And it is as a result of applying these 12 spiritual principles and these suggestions by those powers greater than us, be it the CDC, be it the researchers, the statisticians, the data, and your own and others' own personal experiences. But you are hearing it from the horse's mouth. And if you want to hear the first introduction of these 12 spiritual principles, go back to April the 1st of 2020 to start reviewing all of my podcasts from them based on that article I read from Dr. James T. Allison. I read it on March the 31st, but because of my experience, strength, and hope in the 12-step program, I know what works. I know that I am a servant. I know that I am transparent. I know that I don't have no secrets. I know I'm not afraid to tell the truth. I know that I am willing. And I am going to stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. I feel the same way about COVID-19. But guess what? During from April of 2020 to the mid of November, I, with the information, did not apply these principles to COVID-19. Therefore, I contributed to contracting COVID-19. And I contributed to infecting my family members with COVID-19. But by the grace of God, we can breathe. We can smell. We can taste. We can swallow. We can hear, we can touch, we can feel as a result of surviving COVID-19. So when you want to see what COVID-19 looks like on me, then go to day 1, which is December the 3rd, that I presented myself before you, sickly, sweating, could hardly breathe, could hardly swallow, could hardly smell, because I wanted to share what COVID-19 looks like. The God that I serve prepared me to sit before you, just the way I was, so that you can see the transformation, so that you can see the process, and so that you can listen to the message and not focus on the messenger. And that's why I am able to wear this mask, because on day 1, December the 3rd, the way I looked was the way COVID-19 looked in my life. I didn't have the makeup on. No. I didn't have my dentures in. No. I didn't have the accessories. No. Because I was sick and I could have possibly died for COVID-19. So you better believe I was not worried about my face. I was worried about my behind. But you will see the transformation as I share with you while listening myself and applying these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature to my journey with COVID-19. Now the mask that I wear is the only mask that I need. The makeup that you see now is to give homage to my culture, to my heritage, to my tradition. I wear my hair naturally. This is my crown. I learned that I come from a lineage of kings and queens, but I learned most that I'm a child of the Creator. I'm a child of God, and He wants me to live. But He also wants all of His children to have and will have that knee-bowing experience. No matter how humiliating it is, it's necessary to bring about humility, to cry out and say, help me, help me, help my family, help my culture, help my community, help my city, help my state, help my country. All of us around the world needs to cry out and say, help us. But when he provides the help, we have to become open-minded and we have to become willing. And what's going to make that happen is the application of the 12 steps that are spiritual in nature so that we can apply spirituality to this physical condition. So when we look at things from a spiritual angle, it will change and develop new attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, and decisions based on the spirit. Am I willing? Am I willing to feed the flesh by not wearing a mask, washing my hands, social distancing? Or am I willing to feed my spirit so that I can be an attraction for others to help save each other's life? Okay. All right. It's time for us to have our conversation. Let me again emphasize Jason Waller's template. JASON WAHLER. Even though he applies them to alcoholism and drug addiction, we are going to change the area of focus to COVID-19. Okay. And so let me share with you what that looks like. Okay. So let's do this. And let me take myself out the picture. And let me, hold on one second. Let me remove this, okay? Because what I want to do is to go to the first 6 steps, right? And I want to demonstrate what they are and give you the information that's needed, okay? So it says here that recovery principle number 1 says we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. This is the step that has to be done 100% without any reservation, without any hesitation. We as a race is powerless over COVID-19 and its devastating effects. Man is limited, right? And we know that the Creator knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. But we as a race need to admit our powerlessness over COVID-19, that our lives are, had, and is unmanageable. Recovery principle number 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity regarding COVID-19. Sanity only means being restored to soundness of mind. Recovery principle number 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him regarding COVID-19. As I shared with my own experience, if I have not contracted COVID-19 since I tested negative on December the 16th on my 65th birthday, and I have been doing everything that these powers greater than me have suggested. And so in step 3, why wouldn't I want to make that decision to continue to turn my will and my lives over to the care of God or those powers greater than me as I understand him regarding COVID-19? 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves regarding COVID-19. This is the principle that we are on and have been, including today, 5 days. This is where we will unravel and address and acknowledge and become aware of those negative attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, decisions, and choices, right, that have and are destroying our character and can possibly take our lives. Once we do that searching and fearless more inventory and identify those areas of character defects, we are going to, at number 5, admit to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs regarding COVID-19. If you need to talk to somebody while you are defiant, if you need to talk to somebody while you are resistant, if you need to talk to somebody while you are rebellious, then this step will help you and I get to the exact nature of not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you for you to have that idea, attitude, and behavior formulated. And once we get to the exact nature of it, then we go to recovery principle number 6, where we say we are entirely ready to have God remove all our character defects regarding COVID-19. Yes, the defiance, the rebelliousness, the stubbornness, the ego, the pride, the self-centeredness, the selfishness. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. So let me go to the other remaining principles, 7 through 12, to share with you them as well. Okay? And so this is important because it contains 12 spiritual steps, not 6, not 2. And we want to be able to share them with you as well. So let's do that and bring it full circle. And it says number 7. Once we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character, we want to come to recovery principle number 7. When we fall short, when we think we don't want to wear a mask, when we think we don't want to wash our hands, when we think we want to go to a party, we humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Take away that thought. Take away that insane decision. Take away that insane choice. I should know better. I don't want to die. I don't want others to die. Humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings, that attitude, idea, and behavior that can contribute to the death of someone, even yourself. And then in recovery principle number 8, we make a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all regarding COVID-19. When we talking about making a list, I'm going to list all of my grandchildren. I'm going to list all of my friends. I'm going to list all that I came in contact with and don't even know their names, right? Because I caused harm. I could have contributed to them contracting and dying from COVID-19, and I want to become willing to make amends to them all. I need to make that list. You need to make that list. And if we all simultaneously make that list, we will see the harm we are causing one another, and we want to become willing to make amends to them all regarding COVID-19. Then when we come to recovery principle number 9, we may direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others regarding COVID-19. So I am making direct amends by wearing my mask. I am making direct amends by washing my hands. I am making direct amends by social distancing. I am making direct amends wherever possible by taking the suggestions of the CDC, by looking at the research, by looking at the data, by learning from other people's experiences. I am making direct amends. And then recovery principle number 10, it says continue to take personal inventory. And when we were wrong, promptly admitted it regarding COVID-19. So that's why this is a 1 day at a time program. That's why when we do our 4th step in that personal inventory, we are forced it is suggested in recovery principle number 10 that we continue to take that personal inventory, a spot check inventory, a middle of the day inventory, an end of the night inventory. Did I do anything wrong? Did I put anybody's life in jeopardy? What am I thinking? What am I doing? And then when we recognize that, we need to properly admit when we are wrong. And use recovery principle number 7 to humbly ask us to remove our shortcomings. Recovery principle number 11 says, sort through prayer. There are more people praying. There are more people meditating. And this is what God loves, even in the midst of this pandemic. His children are reaching out, crying out. And so that means each and every one of us must want to seek through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him. Your higher power, your creator, the force. I don't care who it is, but it's not you and it's not me. It's a power greater than ourselves. Praying only for knowledge of his will and the power to carry it out regarding COVID-19. What would you have me do, higher power? What would you have me do, God? Help me to get rid of image. Help me to get rid of self so I can think about others, so I can think about my fellow human beings, so I can protect my family. What is your will? And give me the power to carry it out. And then 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our of us trying to embrace, dissect, analyze, to commit surgery on these 12 spiritual principles, so that it can create that challenge to want to find out where, how those negative attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were formulated, by whom, what situation and circumstances. And as we do these 12 spiritual principles and practice them in all our affairs, you will get that spiritual transformation that each step offers. And collectively, woo! You listen, that's why I'm still go to my meetings after 30 years. My grand sponsor, before she died, she still went to meetings, and she had 56 years in recovery. Her sponsor had 90 years before she died. She still went to meetings on a regular basis, because we in Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step program of going to our meetings and getting the support and reading the positive information and practicing these principles in all our affairs. 1 hour gives us the basis to live the other 23 hours happy, joyous, and free in spite of what's going on. So if you apply those 12 spiritual principles, take those simple suggestions, we too can live a joyous, happy, and free life in spite of what's going on with COVID-19, because we have been equipped. This 1 hour can serve as that meeting. This 1 hour can serve as the foundation for you, for I to live the other 23 hours. That's an investment nobody can say it doesn't work. It's not worth it. And it's free. The information is free. The 12-step programs are free. We are about being of service to others, right? It's free. This conversation I'm having with you is free. It's from the heart. Do you hear me? And I want to be able to plant one seed so that you can plant a seed, and they can plant a seed, and they can plant a seed. And this 12-step, these 12 principles, these suggestions by the CDC can have a ripple effect in saving more lives, because without them, more of us are going to die unnecessarily. And I don't want that on my conscience. So I'm going to do my part. And these conversations will help you do your part. Then please do it. Please do it. All right, so let's get to our topic. And wait, Can I take a drink of coffee? Oh, I can breathe. I can swallow. I can smell. I can taste. And that's why I have so much gratitude for these 12 spiritual principles. And that's why I respect COVID-19. I respect COVID-19, just like I respect alcohol and drugs. I respect their bonds. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, so what I want us to do now is we've been talking about recovery principle number 4. And in my podcast yesterday, as I reviewed it, there were some issues, technical issues that after reviewing I corrected. So I'm going to present to you another format of sharing my experience, my strength, and my hope in just one category of doing my 4th step under resentment, because that's what Jason Waller template started out with. And the whole idea of doing a 4th step is just to find out who we are, just to find out what makes us tick, to identify how we developed and formulated these attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, just to find out what our patterns are, just to find out why some people tick me off and some people I just let run over me like a doormat. Why am I so pessimistic? Why am I optimistic? Why this? Why that? Don't you want to know? But this 4th step helps us to reveal what has been concealed for so long. And that's why taking that inventory is so important. So I want to address it by sharing with you an example of the template on recovery principle number 4, when it talks about the 4th step. So let's start with this one, okay? And this is just a question, right? So let's put it up on the screen, all right? And I wanted to be full, okay? So I didn't want that one. So let me get out of here and go back here. And I wanted to be full screen so you can see it, all right? So it's this, and I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to share it, and I'm going to present it, and then I'm going to go to stream, and then I'm going to bring it up. Here it is. So listen, all right? Recovery principle number 4 states, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. Made. This is the first tangible exercise. So I hope you have a journal. I hope you have a tablet. I hope you are recording the information somewhere, so you can refer back to it to see how far you have gone, but made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. So what does a moral inventory mean to you? Well, if you're like me, sometimes I need to look up a word. I ain't ashamed to say I don't understand and know the definition of every word. So let me suggest to you and give to you what moral means as it applies to this 4th step. Moral means concerned with the principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness and badness of human character. You got that? So we are taking a moral inventory of the principles regarding our human character in the areas of right and wrong behavior and the area of goodness and badness, okay? So now that you got an idea what we mean by that, I want to demonstrate to you also an example of how we do our 4th step inventory and the importance of going back as far as we can remember, right? And so I want to share with you what that means and what that looks like, okay? And so when it says we want you to go back and do this searching and fearless more inventory as far back as you can remember. And that means if you are 2, 3, 4 years old, and let's say you had an experience that was so devastating that you remember it, but you blocked it out. And that through your life's journey, it will appear every once in a while, and then you will suppress it again. Or you can recollect a moment, your first birthday party at age 3 or 4, because not only do we want to address the character defects, but we also want to mention and show the good times that we have too. So it's called the balancing act, all right? So, but the point is to go back as far as you can remember to determine what the scene was, what was the scenario in that particular situation, whether it be with family, school, community, work, or relationships. Covering that whole span of whatever age that particular formulation of that thought, that attitude, that idea, behavior, that decision, those choices were made. Describe the scene. And then once you describe that scene, balance your inventory by identifying the good times and the bad times. What are some of your fondest memories and your earliest recollections of fun times? And then the last one says, what about some of your challenging times, your experiences, your episodes? Can you describe what you were feeling during those times? Can you? And so I want to be able to share with you so I want to give you an example like I tried to yesterday, but for whatever reason, it did not happen. And so I'm going to try something else. And so I did a different outline to give the same scenario and be able to explain it just in one particular area. Okay, so I want to bring this up now. Okay, and I want to talk about it while I'm sitting over here with you. How about that? Okay, so I can be. Some people sound very animated, but whatever, don't matter. Okay, so Jason Waller started out with the character defect of resentment, right? And so most of us who are in a 12-step program, that is the area there that most of us start with. Because if we don't identify the resentments we have against whomever, then we can't really go on, because we have to address those roadblocks to keep us from going on. And resentment does that. Some people have been carrying resentments for years, like me. Okay, but let me give you one example of me applying my resentment issue against one member of my family. And then I'm going to share with you how I use that same template to pose to you my resentment regarding COVID-19. So let's go up to the first one. Edwina, who did you have a resentment against? I had a resentment against my mother. I love my mother. But I didn't like my mother. If you can understand that, I love her, but I didn't like her. And if you can hear it in my voice, you know that, listen, I love my mother, but back then and for a long time, I didn't like my mother. I'm not afraid to say it because it's the truth. It's what I was concealing that I needed to reveal. I didn't like my mother. Why, Edwina, didn't you like your mother? What was the cause of that resentment? Because she got too much of my daddy's attention. That was my daddy. It may have been her husband. It may have been the father of my siblings, but that was my daddy. And she was getting too much attention from my daddy. That caused me to have a resentment against my mother. I didn't like her because my dad was paying too much attention to her. And then we asked you, what feelings, Edwina, did you have during that time, during those times? I was jealous of my mother. I was jealous the way he looked at her, the way he responded to her. And I was like, what? I'm jealous. I didn't know what jealousy meant at the time, but I was having those feelings like, oh, why is he doing that? Oh, jealousy. I was able to identify the feelings later on by using these 12 steps, right? And then in the fourth step, it says, how did it affect you? What areas did it affect you? Well, it affected my self-esteem because I thought I was worthless. I thought I didn't add up. I thought I wasn't good enough for my dad to love just me. I questioned my sexuality. I questioned my security, right? My self-esteem was shot because my mommy got most of my dad attention. And it made me jealous, and it made me feel less than. And that was the beginning of me not liking females. That was the beginning of me seeking out attention from the opposite sex. Because I needed to prove that I am worthy. I needed to prove that I am lovable. I needed to prove. And then the last part, it says, what part, Edwina, did you play in it? Well, I'm telling y'all, my mother, God bless her, yes, I became manipulative, I became deceptive. I became a liar. I started manipulating things. I started doing things. Yes, that's the part I played in it to address the my self-esteem that were creating feelings of jealousy because my mom was getting too much of my dad's attention. So I began to manipulate. I began to put mom against dad. Yes. Okay. So you see how in a 12-step program, this is just one area of resentment. And this is how searching and fearless we all must be regarding these principles. We see the ice on the surface of the water. No, we want to go beneath the water and dig down to that iceberg that's so wide and so deep. We want to get to the exact nature. And so that's why recovery principle number 4 sets the foundation for the other remaining steps if we are to have freedom, if we are to be set free from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Now, how can I apply that to COVID-19? I'm glad you asked. All right. So, Edwina, who is the resentment against? It's against the creation of this virus. Yes. I don't know who, I don't know where, I don't know how, but I have a resentment against the creation of this devastating virus. How dare it? How dare they? How dare it affect not just my life, the whole human race, the whole human beings race, right? The whole entire race. How dare it? I have a resentment against the creation of this virus. What is the cause? Why are you resentful against the creation of this virus, Edwina? Because it is creating so much uncertainty in the whole world, in my life, in the life of my loved ones. That's why I hate this COVID-19. I see what it's doing. I felt what it did to me. It creates uncertainty. And the most uncertainty, am I going to live or am I going to die? And simultaneously thinking about other areas, right? What feelings, Edwina, do you have regarding this COVID-19? Well, they're mixed. I experience anger. I experience anxiety. I experience fear. I experience confusion. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to believe. I don't want to go back to drinking. I don't want to go back to drugging, right? I don't want my anger to come out. I don't want to have to increase my medication for my mental illness. These are all the feelings, they're mixed. And how has COVID-19 affected your life, Edwina? It affected my life in its total and entire existence. Yes. And what part that I played in it? I'm just an innocent victim. Innocent victim. Really? Yes. However, I can be a part of the solution. I can utilize these 12 spiritual principles. I can also take the suggestions of the CDC. I can also become a part of the solution and no longer a part of the problem, right? I can be an example, an attraction to my family members, to my loved ones, to my culture, to my community, to my city, to my state, to my country. Yes, yes. And that's why, we in recovery have to address those issues of resentment against who, why, where did it start? So that now I have a different angle to look at things from a spiritual angle based on these 12 spiritual principles. Woo. Okay, so if it's God's will that we are reunited for day 58, we will continue the question posed by Jason Waller, Jason Wahler, and we will continue our discussion. In the meantime, I want you to be safe. I want you to wear a mask. I want you to wash your hands. I want you to practice social distancing. That's what I want. We know we need to, but when you want something, you have a different mindset. So do you want to be safe? Do you want to save your life? Do you want to save the lives of your loved ones? Do you want to save other people? Knowing that we need to, but do we want to? Because they say in our 12-step program, recovery for those who want it, not need it. So when you want something, you have a different mindset. So do you want to survive and contribute to being proactive regarding COVID-19, reactive regarding COVID-19, or inactive regarding COVID-19? Or do you want to be responsible, and not contracting COVID-19? Do you want to be in the prevention mode of COVID-19, the intervention mode of COVID-19, or the restoration mode of COVID-19? Only you can answer those questions. So until we meet again, if it's God's will, I'm going to say, God bless you. And I also want to give you the resources that I have regarding COVID-19 and how I've been using and applying the information from others. Okay? Till then.